Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So you may be wondering what's going on right now. I just did my eyes, I started doing my eyes for a Get Ready With Me, and I thought that I would try a new foundation for you for the first time. I got a little sample here, you can see from Sephora, of the new IT Cosmetics CC Matte Foundation. So I'm pretty excited about this because I love the original CC cream. You can see, I love this, okay? So this one, though, is 50 SPF. The new matte one only has 40. I don't know what that's about, really. And honestly, that's not a huge difference. That's not a big deal to me, but just something to point out. But I'm interested to see how this one might work even better for me than this one, because this one I love. It looks beautiful on the skin. You know, it's just such a good... it's a foundation. It's not really a CC cream, honestly. It performs like a foundation. So I love this one, but I do have combo skin, and in the summer I get a little bit oily. I don't mind that too much. It really doesn't bother me. And I do feel like this lasts pretty well on my skin. It just will get pretty oily on me by the end of the day. If I only wear it for half of the day or whatever, it's not that big of a deal to me, because by that point I'm, ready to take off the makeup and not so much need to touch up. But if I was going to be wearing it for a whole day, first of all, I probably wouldn't pick this one to wear all day, but I also would just need to touch up a little bit. So I'm really curious to see if the matte one might be even better for my skin type, but still may have the look of something like this. So I am going to be trying this out over the course of the next few days or so. I may even feel like I need to get another sample of this just to keep trying it. We'll see, but I wanted to at least try it for the first time on camera with you guys, just to, see together how it looks. And I thought, now would be a good time. So I kind of stepped away from doing my Get Ready With Me because it was time to do my foundations. I don't think that it has the same smell as the CC cream, the regular one. That one has a little bit of like a lemony type of smell to it. I'm not smelling that, but maybe I'll smell it more when I put it on my skin. And to me, it seems slightly thicker. Again, I'm not totally sure, but I think I will try to put on some primer on one side of my face and not the other, just so that we can see if there's a difference. If there isn't, I think I'm going to try using my Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer, because this is supposed to be somewhat matte, and so maybe it'd be better if I had something a little bit more moisturizing underneath. So I'm gonna put it on this side. And I have already moisturized, but it's been a while because I did it before I did my eyes. And I'm only going to apply this with a sponge just because that's the way that I prefer to use it. But if I feel like I don't love the way that that looks, then I maybe will try it with a brush some of the other days that I try it. In the same video, it will seem like the same day to you, but it'll be different days for me. I'm going to keep on trying the foundation, but I'm also going to come back in this video and tell you my final thoughts after using it over the course of a few different days. So we'll start with the side that doesn't have the primer, just because we'll let this kind of sink in a little bit more. I'll just kind of dot it on a little bit, and we'll add more if we, however we need to. But I'll just start like this. Yeah, I mean, unless the scent changed from like putting it in a sample thing, it doesn't have that lemony scent, which I don't really care. Light coverage so far, but we can build it up, I'm sure. I mean, that doesn't look full coverage, but again, we're using a sponge, so that's fair. And I don't want full coverage either, by the way. I definitely like sort of light to medium type of coverage, and we'll see how this builds as well. And I did put a very light amount. So that's one layer. Definitely has a nice sheen to it. It doesn't look totally matte to me. Definitely a little tacky. I mean, we'll see if it sets down a little bit, but I would say that's a pretty light coverage. We'll see if we can build it up a little bit more, but I like the way that that looks. It looks very natural, and it definitely doesn't look as matte as because I don't want a totally matte finish either. I should point that out as well. If you haven't been on my channel before or haven't heard me say that, I prefer a more satin or natural finish of a foundation. I don't prefer to have super dewy because I do have combo skin, but I also don't prefer it to be super matte because I like to look young and glowy and, youthful and all of those things. So, all right, so we'll try the other side, but you can see the difference. I mean, I have more redness on this side, but nevertheless, it looks nice. So I added maybe slightly more on that cheek, if you saw, just because I do have more redness there, so it's only fair, right? So far it looks really nice. I wouldn't say that I notice a difference with the primer. That might make a difference as far as like, you know, throughout the day, but I don't notice anything as far as like, you know, I mean, I didn't use like a pore filling primer or anything like that, but I don't notice a difference. All right, so let's see if we can build it up just a little bit more, just in the areas where I need it, honestly. So I'm just gonna try a little bit more on my cheeks. Okay, so that seemed to build up more, and we get a little closer to medium. I'm sure that you can build this up to full coverage, you know, especially if you use a brush and not a beauty sponge, but that's partly why I like to use a beauty sponge. I feel like it helps get me that coverage that I want. But so far, I think it looks very nice. You can see, you know, it sinks into my lines just a little bit, but of course I haven't set it, so we'll see what happens when I set it. You can still see some of those things coming through. Not a big deal. I don't mind that, but that's definitely not, you know, full coverage. And I wouldn't even say it's totally medium. I would say it's a step below medium. I think you could definitely build it up with that sponge, but just so that you can see that. Now, it's pretty dewy looking. I mean, it still feels kind of tacky. It's not super matte. We'll see kind of how it looks once I powder and everything like that. But that's how it looks so far, and that's kind of the coverage that I like, so I'm gonna leave it like that. But I'll go in with some concealer and powder and everything so that you can kind of see how that looks. I'm gonna go in with my Maybelline Age Rewind because I know that I love this and it looks natural and it looks pretty. But I am gonna go in with a little bit of corrector just because it's not a totally full coverage concealer for me. So I like having just a little bit of extra. So we'll see kind of how that goes with the foundation. So I put my concealer on. I haven't set it yet, but I think that it looks really nice and natural. Of course, you know, I'll go in and try more full coverage concealers, you know, when I try it other days just to see how that goes. But with a nice natural concealer, I think it looks nice. I still have to continue to kind of press in those lines because it is kind of creasing up there, but let's see how that does when I set it. I think I'm just gonna use my RCMA No Color Powder because this I can use everywhere, and then we'll just see how it looks. It is so messy and I hate it, but it is a good powder, so we'll forgive it a little bit. Oh my God, I hate it, it's so messy. It's the worst. Like honestly, I don't use it nearly as much as I would otherwise because it's so messy. All right, so now I'm totally powdered and you still see a little bit of that underneath. I mean, I definitely have a pretty good skincare regimen now, and so my skin does look pretty glowy from that, but it's not as flat of a matte as, you know, I thought it could be, and I'm glad about that. So if that is what you're looking for, this isn't that, but I think that it looks nice so far, and definitely, you know, sets down when you put powder on top, but it's not the kind of matte foundation where you can put it on and then not powder it at all. You really do have to powder it. So I think this looks nice. I'm gonna wear it the rest of the evening, and, you know, then I'll kind of let you know how it goes. It's, you know, I'm not gonna be wearing it over the course of a full day. This isn't meant to be really a full like check-in type of video. I'm going to be trying this out over the course of, you know, a bunch of different days and different circumstances, different types of powders, different, you know, primers or no primers, that kind of thing. But I will still check in with you guys at least, you know, at the end of the evening when I'm going to take off my makeup, just to let you know how it looks and if there's anything that I notice in particular. So far I think it looks great. So we'll just have to see how it continues to perform throughout the rest of today and then when I continue to try it. So I'll see you later. Okay, so I'm back. It's really late. I think that you can probably see okay because I have like lights and stuff on. But I wanted to talk about the foundation now that I've been wearing it for quite a while. It's been about 8 hours, so that's a pretty good length of time. It's pretty rare that I would wear a foundation for, you know, more than that amount of time. It certainly happens, but in those situations, I very often do touch up anyway, so it's not really a big deal. Like, I just don't want it to like break up and look terrible. As long as I'm able to kind of touch it up a little bit, I don't mind. I'm pretty oily, as you can see. I'm sure part of that is the lighting, but I'm pretty oily. I have not touched up at all. So you can see this is the place right here where I get the most oily. It's right here, especially down my nose. I mean, I can feel that as I like just grazed my nose, like a lot of oil down my nose. I did highlight right there, but that's it. I didn't highlight any of that. And so you can see all that oil that I now just kind of patted away, and then a little bit up here. It did kind of settle into those wrinkles a little bit like I showed when I was first applying it, but nothing horrible. I wouldn't say that it looks terrible. And again, that's something that I would touch up if I was, you know, going to touch it up. I'm going to look closely in my magnified mirror just for a second so that I can kind of see if there's anything in particular that I want to mention. So I certainly wouldn't say it looks amazing, but I don't think that it looks that bad, especially since I haven't touched up at all. A little bit has worn off here, but that's because I was talking on the phone before. I mean, that is kind of weird, I guess, but that's I'm sure what that is from there. But otherwise, I mean, all of my, you know, products on top of my powders and everything have stayed really well. I mean, look at, you could still see the highlight really well. That's not the oil. That's still the highlight that I was wearing. I am definitely a little bit oily, you know, around here, which isn't typically a place that I get super oily. It's more like, you know, my nose and right here. I mean, I definitely have it right there. You can see that. I don't mind touching this, by the way, because I'm going to go as soon as I'm done filming this and remove it. I've been keeping it on just to kind of show you what's been going on. It's a little bit worn off around here, but I think that that's from eating dinner and everything like that, and just like wiping my mouth. But it also doesn't look like weird the way that it's worn off. It looks just kind of like normal. It's a little bit dry like around here. Not so much dry, it's just you can like kind of see the product. So I think that all in all, it looks pretty good. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I'll pop up a picture so you can see, I took a picture with my flash to see if there was flashback, because the original CC cream, which has SPF of 50, has a lot of flashback. Like, I wore it one time by accident to dinner with family, and we took a picture, and it was kind of dark, so we used flash, and I remember looking at that picture and being like, oh my God, whoops, I was wearing that CC cream. And so I almost hesitated to use that a lot of the time if I thought that maybe I'd end up wearing it, you know, through the evening and going out to dinner, and that maybe there would be a picture taken because it looked that bad. This, I mean, I really didn't think that there was much flashback at all, actually. You tell me when you see the picture, but I think that it more just kind of looks like a little shiny or whatever, but I don't think that it really looked bad. Maybe it was just the type of flash that I took, and it wasn't dark when I took it. It was just, you know, I just used the flash, but it didn't look bad. So that's kind of nice too, is that I wouldn't be too worried about wearing something like this. You know, that's the issue that I have. If there's a foundation that I know has bad flashback, I'd be worried about using it because I wouldn't know necessarily, you know, what circumstance I'd be wearing that. You know, if I knew that I was only going to be wearing it in the first part of the day, then okay, fine, I wouldn't have an issue with it. So I like the fact that it didn't have that. That was a big thing. I think that it might also depend on what I use with this product. I had moisturized. I had used, you know, that primer on the other side. I don't think that I noticed really a big difference. Although it's interesting. I mean, obviously I said I was using the phone on this side, but this side did have that smear. So, you know, maybe that made it more slippery underneath. I'm not really sure, but I will definitely try it with some different primers to just see, like, if I use a primer that's not quite as moisturizing, or if I don't use a primer at all. If I use a setting spray. I did not use a setting spray, even though I very often do. I didn't want it to affect the longevity of the foundation. I didn't want to make it too matte. I didn't know how matte it was going to be, especially, you know, once I put that powder on top, it definitely felt much more soft and velvety. You know, I'll definitely try some different powders to see how it works. I don't think that there's too much of an issue with like the concealer. The concealer just kind of, you know, faded a little bit, but not too bad. all in all, I think it looks pretty good. I don't think that it has as good of coverage as the original. Longevity, I would say they're pretty similar for me at this point, but I'm gonna have to see, you know, if I use some different products and see if, you know, maybe it will last longer when I use some different things. I can be a little bit annoyed by products if I feel like they like need to be used in a certain way, or I can only use them with certain products, but you know, at the same time, like I feel like this could be a really good product for me if I find the right way to use it. I really do love my original IT Cosmetics CC cream, but like I said, with the flashback, I hesitate to wear it sometimes. And also I feel like it's not the greatest product for me like in the summer. I have been using it some, but it's not the greatest for me when it gets really, really hot out. It'll be fine for me, I think, when it gets a little bit cooler. But it seems like this matte one is not really that matte, so it might actually work for me year round, which could be really good. So I'm gonna continue to try it. I'm not gonna film all of those things unless there's something in particular that I wanna pop in and tell you in case I'm worried about forgetting it or something like that, mom brain. But otherwise, I'm going to insert a clip right after this one when I've tried it a number of times and when I'm able to try it with different products and see what I like best. Then I will come back and I will tell you what I think and my final thoughts on it. So this is the end of my sort of first impression of it. Right now I'm kind of on the fence a little bit. There are a lot of foundations that I feel like are really good for my skin when it's oily or when it's not quite as oily. And so I'm not sure that this one is really going to compete with it, but if it were to be, you know, would I repurchase the original CC versus this one? That's what I'm kind of trying to determine, because I like this one. Right now, I like this one about as much as I like the original. So I really do like it, but that's why I'm sort of hesitating, because I feel like I'm definitely going to repurchase one of them because I love the original so much. I'm just kind of trying to decide if it would be worth buying this one instead. So we'll see. I don't know. I have to try it more. I have to try it more. That's why I feel like these first impression videos, they're good, but like I need more, because you can try a foundation one day and love it, and then the next day hate it, and then the next day think it's okay, and then the next day love, you know. So you need to try it more, and because unless you're somebody who uses one set of products in each step, and that's it, that's only what you use and you don't use anything else, then that's one thing. But if you're someone like me who has different types of primers and different types of powders and different types of setting sprays, it might take a few tries to figure out like what way this works best, and then that's fine. I mean, if I find the perfect way to use this, then that's fine, because I have those products. I'm not gonna go out and buy other products to make it work. Does that make sense? So anyway, that's where I am with that. I'm gonna stop rambling. I think I'm just rambling because my husband is out of town, and so I have no one to talk to this evening. I've been not talking to anybody since my daughter went to bed. So anyway, I'm going to take this makeup off. My face is going to be very happy, and I'm gonna go to bed. So in this next clip, it's not going to be today. It's going to be another day, and I'm going to be talking about my final thoughts. So I hope you enjoy that. Hello, everyone. I believe it's a week or two later, and I've been trying out this foundation quite a bit. I feel like I've gotten enough of a feel for how it performs, because you don't need a ton of this. Depends how much coverage you want. If you want a little more medium to full, then you'd have to keep building this up. I don't mind it being a light to medium. A little between light and medium is kind of like my happy place. And so let's talk about this foundation. Now that I've been trying this out quite a bit, I don't love this. I'm really bummed, because I had kind of hoped that this would be a better alternative for me for the CC cream, which I do love. I mean, like I showed earlier in the video, you can see I've used a lot of this. I'm pretty close to being done with this one, and this is probably what I would repurchase over that one. Even though that one doesn't necessarily have the longest wear time for me, I don't really mind that. I still feel like even though it doesn't last super long, it does wear nicely on me, more so than what I've heard from some people. I've definitely heard that it doesn't wear well and it breaks up, but I get that experience more from this one, the matte version, than I do from the original, which is very, very weird, I think. Things that I like about this one that makes me wish that I like this one as much or more than the original. The biggest thing is that there's no flashback for me. You'll see in that picture, I'll post it, I'll put it up again on the screen for you here, but I don't feel like I got really any flashback. Now, I didn't take any flash pictures at nighttime. Maybe that would be slightly different, but at least using the flash, you know, just kind of in normal daylight, I didn't seem to have any issues, whereas with the original, I get major flashback, which definitely makes me cautious to wear it, and why I don't mind the fact that it doesn't wear super long, because it's one that I probably would only wear during the daytime. I do feel like this looks really, really pretty when I first put it on, and it does look a little more matte than the original does. The original one, it looks really pretty and glowy and healthy looking. This one doesn't not look that way, but it definitely has a much more matte appearance. It doesn't feel matte to the touch. Now it does, because I have powder on. But when I first apply it, it definitely has a more matte look to it than the original CC cream, which again, I don't mind. That doesn't bother me. But I get way more oily with this one. You can see I've been wearing this for about 6 hours now, and that's not that long. I mean, that's kind of, you know, on the shorter end of what maybe some people would wear this for. To me, you know, I don't necessarily wear things 8+ hours on most days because of my schedule. So I don't mind if something, you know, I certainly like to have foundations that will last that long, but I also don't mind something that is going to have a shorter wear time, just because that is kind of typical for me anyway. But this one, I mean, you can see how oily. I mean, I know the lights are on me, but still, this is what it looks like. I'm very oily now. Of course, there's my highlight there, but you can see I didn't put highlight there. I didn't put highlight there. Now, this is definitely where I get oily, in my T-zone. I have combo skin, so I definitely get oily there. But that's the thing. I thought that with this matte version, but I also don't feel like it wears super well. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but it just wears away around my nose. It looks like makeup on top of my skin. You know, it's not oily to where, okay, I just look a little dewy or whatever. Like, you can tell that my makeup is breaking up. The oils are breaking this up on me. And by the way, today I did use a more mattifying type of primer. It's not a mattifying primer, but it definitely makes you a little more matte. It's the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer, which is, you know, kind of one of those typical pore filling primers that you wouldn't want to use if you have drier skin, and it doesn't help. I mean, I'm not trying this with a matte primer because that's just not my style. I just don't really use primers like that. So I don't really own any of them. I did try it with some other primers. There was even one day where I wore it with that primer, and I used the Cover FX mattifying setting spray, which I really enjoy. It has a little bit of powder in it. You don't notice that, but it really does help you stay matte, but not like dry and flat looking. And that did not look good. The combination of those things really didn't look good. I tried it, the first time that I tried it, that you saw on here, I tried it with a more moisturizing primer because I didn't know that this was going to get so oily, and that really didn't work either. So I just haven't been really finding a good combo with this one. And to me, that means it's time to just call it a day, because I feel like my go-to foundations, the ones that I feel like are favorites, are ones that don't require that much work. You know, they're ones that will work with different primers. They will work with different setting sprays or concealers or powders, and I don't have to work so hard. You know, like, for example, some of my favorites, I may have talked about this earlier, so I might cut this out, but I love the Too Faced Comfort Matte. This one is nice. It doesn't get too matte, but it also, you know, it looks great on me all day long. I love the CoverGirl Healthy Vitalist Elixir Foundation. That one lasts really well on me, and that's not meant to be a super matte foundation, you know, just to name a couple. And, you know, I feel like I have some even more like dewy foundations, such as the Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua or the Flower Beauty Light Illusion, that I can kind of set down with powder, and I'll get oily, but it's still gonna look nice by the end of the day, and I can touch it up, and it's not gonna look like makeup is breaking up on my face. I feel like, you know, maybe from afar I look okay, but if you were to get up close to me, you'd be able to see that makeup breaking up, and I don't like the look of that. It just isn't flattering. So I'm disappointed. I know that there are people who are talking about this foundation who did really enjoy it. So, you know, don't only take my word for it. I would say get a sample from Sephora. You can see that I've used this, you know, a number of times and I still have a little bit left. You can always go back and get another sample if you feel like you need more time to test something out. But that's a great way to try a new foundation. Obviously, it doesn't work for something that's drugstore, but for something that's more expensive and that's, you know, you don't want to buy it unless you're sure if you like it, this is a great way to try out a foundation because you may love this. You know, maybe this, I can't imagine this would work for someone with oily skin, which is odd because it's supposed to be a matte CC cream. But maybe if you had normal skin, this would be kind of your sweet spot because, you know, I don't know. Maybe I am just too oily for it. I don't see myself as having oily skin. I definitely see myself as having combo, and so maybe this will work better for me when it gets a little bit colder out, but I prefer to have foundations in my collection that will work in both type of climates, you know, that I can set a little bit better in the summertime and it will look good, and then I can make, you know, pair it with some more glowy primers and, you know, setting sprays and things like that in the winter, and it still works. I don't really want to have something where it's only going to work for one season. That's not really what I want. So I'm bummed to say that this one just didn't really work for me. The good news is I'm probably going to take this off now because it's time to get in a workout. But yeah, I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong that you think it looks good, but I just don't really think it looks great. I think if I were to just go like that, it would all just come right off. And not that I would rub my face with any foundation on, but I just feel like if I were to try and touch this up with powder, it would look really cakey. In fact, let's test out that theory, okay? Let's see how that looks because I do not think that's going to look good. Okay, this is just my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish. And I'm really just patting in, I'm not swiping. Definitely helped mattify. I don't know if you can tell. I am not really sure if you can tell, but when I look up close in my mirror, I can see that it just looks a little bit cakey. It's not terrible, it's doable, but it doesn't look great. Those are just my feelings on it. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried this one. Do you have the original CC cream? Do you like that one? I still love that one, and I think that it wears on me pretty well. I mean, it's not gonna last me all day long, but you know, that's okay. I'm all right with that. I think it looks so beautiful on the skin that it's worth it to me. And this one just didn't really come close to that one in my opinion. If you like this video, please make sure and give it a big thumbs up. That really does help out my channel so much. I post videos every single Monday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time. And let me know in the comments what foundation you might want to see me review next, or if there's another product that you'd like me to review, I'm happy to do that. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I would love for you to stick around, and I really hope to see you next time. Bye.